What's going on, fellas? This is Mike D, Mr. Double Down on You with another episode of Black Fathers. Now dig this, man. Again, I always say I got special guests because all my guests are special. But if you're watching the video, you'll see a dude who just pulled a towel to wipe his bald head. And and in person, he got me by about a foot in height or whatever. But this is my brother. Like my dude from way back, like literally from West Side High School, from Montclair subdivision in Augusta, Georgia, to the van we used to ride in, to the black and gray S10 pickup, to to we ride down, he ride down Riceboro Road, hanging out to literally, man, like when I say this is my brother, this is my dog, this is my brother, this is my dog, I got Dustin Johnson on the line with us, man. My man is a husband, he's a father, he's an entrepreneur. He spent years in law enforcement, specifically with the canines, and we'll talk a little bit about dogs. And it's funny, I got memories from back in the day because they used to always have dogs. You used to always have pit bulls and breeding this and breeding that. And fast forward, my man is in law enforcement working with canines. But one of the things that's so interesting and powerful about him now is at this stage of his life, he's really prioritizing mental health and growth and development. And we'll hear a little bit more about it. If you're watching the video, you'll see a hoodie that he's wearing that has the word therapy written across it. And we're going to talk a little bit about it, the twists and turns which led him down this path. But fellas, ladies listening too, because y'all like to tune in to what we talking about. Let's welcome my brother, Dustin Johnson. What's up, Doc?
Hey, what's up, bro? Hey, man, I appreciate that, man. Like, first of all, that's an honor to even come from you like that, bro. Like, like from the old school of the streets of Augusta, Georgia.
Dude, it's the funniest thing. So your name is Dustin Johnson, yes. But we even got a little story back in the day. My grandma, who passed away, she passed away in 2016. When we were growing up, she used to get your name confused. We used to go by the house and she'd be like, Mike, so where's your buddy Buster? Where's Buster? and you had such a good heart. You didn't want to correct her and say that your name was really Dustin. So your name was and it was funny, after you left over time, I would tell her like, his real name is Dustin. She still called you Buster. And that's always been the inside. You were Buster Johnson, not Dustin Johnson.
Hey, first off, she was the elder. Uh-huh. Who and what I look like saying to her that's not my name.
That's not my name.
But the fact that she just recognized me, I was definitely fine with that.
But yeah, you was Buster for so long. It was the funniest thing. And
I'll forever be like, hey, I was blessed to like even get a chance to meet her. Mm-hmm. So most people don't know your lineage, mm-hmm. And I actually just learned some stuff of your lineage just from the last week episode, man. So it's just like to even get an honor to be blessed to meet her, bro. That was amazing. So how am I gonna say no to her?
Well, just for these purposes, we're gonna be Dustin here. Yeah. I ain't gonna call you Buster. I can't get away with that.
If you call me Buster, I know you looked at this podcast.
I love it. But brother, man, before we jump into your story and your journey, man, let's give some shout outs, because who are we without the people who have paved the way for us, that, are the wind beneath our wings, man. Give some shout outs for all those that help you to be who you are on a regular basis, man.
All right, man, it ain't going to be in no order. So if somebody listens to it, I don't want you to be upset. But first, I just want to say my wife, man. For meeting me for where I was at, for going through all the things that we've been through, for holding down the fort. A lot of people know law enforcement is difficult. And dealing with an officer in law enforcement is difficult. I'll get more into that a little bit later, but that's difficult. I got 3 beautiful girls from her. And with that, man, I want to thank them for raising me. We on Black Fathers now. I'm raising them, but they raising me. On a daily, man, I'm dealing with like 18 different personalities, but
Woo! Please believe it.
I'm learning daily. Like I'm learning and I'm not perfect. Next, man, definitely my mother for not letting me get lost. Lost into the system. When you know that I went into the system. So which I'm gonna get into that. But my mother, my father, and I'll explain that later too. But my father, I appreciate it for showing me to being a man, what a man is. He was military. He was gone all the time, defending the country, but showing me what it was to establish a work behavior has gotten me to my point today. And man, my hero, you know, a lot of people be like, yo, Michael Jordan, you know, Malcolm X, whatever, man. But my true hero is my brother. That dude, he don't have no kids, but that dude has been a father to me from day one. That's that. I get more into that. You for always keeping me grounded. You don't know, bro, the times that we've just talked, and it's only been a snippet of where I've been and where I'm at that I needed it. And also, man, like most people say God first, but I'm gonna think him last, because he's the most important in this journey. I'm not by far, I can't say that I'm a Christian, can't say that I'm Muslim, but what I can say is that I'm faithful. I have a different relationship with him than what your average would have, due to the fact that I'm not cookie cutter crisp. You give me a Bible verse, I won't know it, but I know it. I know his voice, and I know when he's talking to me. So I think that's what got me to this point, like to this day, man. And those are the blessings that I have to get back to, man. And that circle, including you, brother, has been major and pivotal to this point, to this day. If I'm gonna go ahead and roll into it, if you okay with it.
Yeah, go ahead, man. This is your story. I'm just here to pull out gems, man. Go on into tell us about it, man.
So I'm born in 1980 from St. Louis, Missouri. University City, you know. My father, my birthright father, was a no good dude. And the funny part about it is I don't know much about him. The only thing that I know about him was that on weekends, when I went over his house, he would beat me. Bad. And his reasoning was, as soon as I stepped through the door, was I looked like my mother. So here's the father that stepped up for me, my brother. At this time, I'm around maybe like four, my brother like 9. I didn't have a voice. My brother had the voice. He stood up, was like, hey, this is what's happening. So basically from that point, my parents were going through whatever they were going through. Basically to that point, I never really, I ain't gonna say we didn't see him again, but from that point, my mother, I have to thank her. Like, she protected me. And, you know, in these days, it's hard for a woman to either, you know, kick off of that, like when it comes to abuse or when it comes to things like that. So with that, that's not no claim of fame or anything like that. My stepfather later, a couple of years, entered into the picture. And by far, brother, like This is
Yes.
a man.
Pops. Yep.
This
Pops.
is a man of few words.
No, fool. He ain't say nothing. But let me tell you, that joker used to scare me, man. I ain't gonna lie. Pops, I know he did everything for y'all, but you know, I like to crack jokes and all that. I used to be coming to the house and Pops just stare at you. Yeah. I'm like, okay. I'm like, he'd be like, go on in and get something to eat. Like, okay. I might not even be hungry. I'm eating. You know what I'm saying? Go on in and get something to drink. Oh, okay. But I'm not thirsty, but I'm gonna drink something. I mean, I'm sitting there because that joker had a presence, man. It was just something about that dude. There was a presence, and
yes,
it was that's the best way to put it. Pops has always had a presence.
And that was Dustin from day one, man. Nobody could tell the type of man he was, man. He asked my brother and me to marry my mother. I'm a little kid, bro. You know what I mean? What is that supposed to mean? To me, you know, and my brother was the one, hey, yeah, you know, whatever. I'm going with whatever he said.
That's right.
You know, or whatever. So that, like, for my brother even to see that and, you know, be able to stand up for that, man, made it. So going on, we moved to second grade, went to Germany. I got a chance to live overseas and went overseas for like 4 years because of Pops. You know, whatever. That was one of the best times of my life. Just like enjoying life. Funny part, we would have stayed a little bit longer, but we had to leave because I was over there at the time that the Berlin Wall coming down.
Wow.
I never forget it, bro. My brother, most know like our family are athletes or whatever, but my brother was awesome. And we were at a game and we knew we had to leave, but it was his last game. And literally, bro, we got swept away. Wow. Like it was literally, he played the game, put the ball down, let's go.
Wow. And
we was on a flight back to the States.
And that was the time the Berlin Wall was coming down.
Yeah, that was the time the Berlin Wall was coming down.
So was that 80? What was it? 88? What was it? 90? Huh?
Yeah, it was like 80s. So, because the reason funny part about it, we get back to the States. I think I'm like right at 5th grade.
Okay.
I'm like right at 5th grade. Tut. Me going to Tut was my first time touching Georgia.
Tut Middle School.
Yeah, we went to Tut Middle School, which, you know, that's your lineage.
Yep, my grandfather. Yep.
Like, so I went, so back in 5th grade, I went back to the States for a little bit, back to St. Louis. Then he got stationed down here, like in Augusta, Georgia. So 5th and 6th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, it was just me existing. Existing, man. I didn't have a bad school year like it touched anything like that. I hadn't met you yet.
We didn't meet till I think the 9th, going in the 10th grade.
Yeah. So like 6 through 8, like I said, it was just me existing in Georgia, like getting a taste of what Georgia, getting a taste of what Georgia life is, the little slower pace. Come to Westside High School, you know, 9th grade. I think that's where like my life started to kind of do its twisting and the things like that. Now realize I'm telling you beforehand, with my mother still dealing with the old knucklehead. You know what I mean? To Pops, yo, he stood up, he adopted us. The other dude gave up the rights because we weren't worth nothing. And I thank God for it.
Amen.
I think that I tell this to my other daughter, because I got 3 kids, if y'all don't know, but one of them is not my birthright, but she's mine.
That's right.
I tell her all the time that you should thank God that they're not in your life, because if they were, they'll mess it up. So God came through and swept that part away from you. and he knows what you need from the day that you're born. So like he'll take care of you. So with that being said, like around 9th grade, I really don't know how we met, bro.
I can tell you. Let me tell you what's funny. It's funny. So hold on. And I'll jump in here. We met towards the end of 9th grade, and we kind of, because again, we're in the same class, right? Same grade level. And so, you know, it's not a whole lot of black kids at Westside, but it was enough. But so you're passing, you kind of know a little bit. You and I actually started getting tight during JV baseball tryouts. And so JV, and that was actually our 10th grade. So actually it was 10th grade that we really started kicking it.
Yeah.
JV baseball tryouts. We were doing that, and then we were getting picked up, or I needed a ride after practice. And I remember you said, well, you know what, my mama, I can ask my mom if she'll give you a ride. And that's when she had that van. Had that big old, like, and I ain't talking about no minivan. I'm talking about an actual conversion van, right? And so I remember she picked,
we went everywhere in that thing.
Everywhere. If it was, wasn't it light blue or something? Wasn't it like light blue?
It was sky blue, man.
Sky blue. See, that was 20-something years ago, and I'm 28 years ago, whatever. It was interesting. I got a ride home from you, and y'all dropped me off at the house, and then you were just like, dude, we live in the same neighborhood.
Right.
Like, because y'all lived in the same neighborhood a few streets over, but it was far enough where we just never connected. You know what I'm saying? And from that point forward, I think I rode home a couple of times, and then you were like, yeah, I live over here. Next thing you know, we started hanging out, and then it was just like, bam, we just got tight.
It's been tight ever since.
Ever since, brother. Yes, sir.
It's funny because my wife would go, who's your best friend? I said, Mike, my man Mike. And she'd be like, Mike?
I ain't never met him.
I ain't never even met him. I said, you don't have to.
That's right.
And I said, that's the thing of a friend.
That's right.
You know what I mean? It ain't always I got to talk to you every day, but I know, like, I keep up with them. I know what's going on or whatever, you know, because of my job. It was a couple of years that I was basically underground for a little while. But you always found a way to stay in touch with me.
That's it. Dude, that's friend. Dude, it's funny, dude. I'm going to tell you, and this is why this is so powerful, dog, because we literally went years without actually physically talking. Years. There was times we would go like years, but then we just resurface, like shoot a text message or whatever. We basically get it back going. Then it might be some months. Then we get it back going. Then it might be months I don't talk. And then you don't talk or whatever. But then we had friendship never leaves, right? It's there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's there. It ain't going nowhere. Whether we talk every day, every year, every whatever, it's there. And it's like we never missed a beat. And that's the thing that's so beautiful about it.
That's what's so beautiful. So high school year, like we said, we was all playing sports together, whatever, having fun or whatever. But it was 12th grade, man, where like it changed for me. Nobody knew like I was hurting. You know, you starting to grow up, you hurting, you doing stuff or whatever. But I'm gonna explain, but I ain't gonna, you know, say names or whatever.
That's right.
But one day, man, from school, I had a beef with a dude at school, and I never really beefed with anybody. So, but most people didn't know, like I was boxing at the time. Like I was undercover boxing. Nobody really knew.
Smooth criminal.
Yeah, smooth criminal. I was undercover boxing for the time. Nobody really knew, man, or whatever. And I had a beef with a guy at school. Well, I ended up getting set up that same day I had the beef. Normally I had drove to school or whatever, but this day my mom had the car. So I was like, yo, I'm not riding the bus. I'm not riding the bus. And I thought a guy was my friend or whatever. Like, he was like, yo, I'll give you a ride, no biggie, you know, whatever. So I hop in the car. Well, you know, Gus is small. So like on the way home, he was like, look, man, my girl live over here. I'm gonna stop by here real quick. So I literally was like, no, bro, like my house right here. You can go to your girls after you drop me off. And he's like, no, he's like, let me just go here real quick. So, he got the wheel. So I'm like, all right. So I forget the neighborhood, but we go to the neighborhood. In the neighborhood, he went all the way to the back of the neighborhood. So I hop out the car. I was like, bro, you can go holler at your girl. I'm gonna walk home. Mm-hmm. So he was like, oh, all right then. So I got out the car. I start walking home, man. And then again, something tells me, look up. So when I look up, man, the bus is coming. Our school bus is coming. Get off the bus, you know how you get that feeling where, you about to fight, but you don't know, like you about to fight. Like
you got a feeling.
Like a fight about to happen, but so like it was a gaggle of people like coming towards me. Well, when I look, it's the guy I got the beef with. Mm-hmm. It's the guy I got the beef with. And I'm like, oh man, here we go. Mm-hmm. So literally, man, I go and I'm trying to walk home. I'm trying to walk through. Mm-hmm. He had his buddies and it's just me. I don't know where you was at.
I wasn't there, whatever it was. I was not there.
Yeah, but I'm just messing with you. No, but we was I'm trying to walk home, man. So at the minute I try to walk home, he grabs me like from my back. So most people didn't know at the time what I did or whatever. I punished the dude. Mm-hmm. Gave him a good lashing. But the thing that only stopped me from doing more damage, man, again, my father at the time was deployed. And I heard somebody say, stop. And I looked over and it's a black man in a uniform. Mm. And I looked up and I was like, yes, sir. I got up. And at the time, our high school counselor rolled by. Mm. He was like, Dustin, is that you? Mm. I was like, yeah. And she was like, get in the car. Mm. So I got in the car, man, and she took me home. And I don't know if you recall this, mm-hmm. but you saved me a portion at this time too, because we had the high school dance. Mm. We had the high school dance, and I was just getting ready to come to the dance that night. And you called me and was like, bro, don't come up here. Mm. And I was like, what? What do you mean? You was like, hey, the police are here. Mm. They're looking for you. Mm. And I go, the police? Why are they looking for me? Uh-huh. And he was like, man, whatever you did, they looking for you. I was like, oh man, like, I was like, dog, I was just defending myself, got in a fight. He was like, nah. So what I had to say to you, man, is like, while I rock with you, boy, you've never turned your back on me. Mm. Mm.
It's my dog, man.
Through that whole situation, nobody believed me. Mm. You was the only dude, besides you, my parents, and everybody else, you was the only dude that rocked with me. Like, it was like, nah, Mm. That's what happened. Mm. So literally, bro, I got locked up. Mm. I'll never forget it. The officer was like one of the coolest officers I ever met. White officer, one of the coolest officers I ever met. He let me listen to the radio. He talking to me, whatever. He said, bro, I'm gonna be honest with you. He called me bro. Mm-hmm. Like, and that was weird in Georgia, especially at that time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, bro, I'll be honest with you, man, we wasn't coming to get you. And I said, well, why did you? He was like, man, this dude, mother, they was like, you must have beat him bad. He's like, this dude, mother, went and took out a warrant on you. And I was like, for fighting? For defending myself?
Wow.
And he was like, yeah. And he was like, it's bad, bro. Like, they like really, like, we talking about no. They was like, yes. He was like, no. They was like, yes. So I'll never forget, bro. I went down to lockup. When I come through the door, like I say, remember, we were playing sports at the time. It was an old umpire that used to umpire the games. I didn't know he was a CO. He was a CO. He was like, Dustin. I was like, yeah. And he was like, yo, why are you here? And he goes, I tell him, man, I said, yo, I was defending myself, bro. And he was like, he grabbed me, it was a savior in one part, but then it was also a curse in the other. Because he grabbed me, and then he was like, I'm 16 at the time. I'm not an adult, but I'm in adult jail time. He grabs me, and then he puts me in solitary. But before he grabs me, it's an officer hits the phone on the glass, and he was like, that's Dustin, right? He's like, yeah. They was like, listen, man, we want you to listen to this. So they bring me up to the glass. They put the phone up to the glass. Listen to this. So the woman was this dude's mother. She was like, I'm so glad you got this MFer. He's supposed to be, and Razé Ra this and Razé Ra this. I'm 16, bro. I'm not saying I didn't have no blame in the matter. What I'm saying is we were fighting. It wasn't no ill will towards it or anything like that. But being in the system at this particular point, we just about to graduate. We just coming from graduation, whatever. So I'm sitting there for a little bit. So the whole time I'm in there, man, like I got put in basically like solitary. They would keep me away from people or whatever, man. And they end up like releasing me. My mother came out, but it was funny. My mother couldn't find me. She was trying to get to me, and my grandmother was alive at the time. So when I got taken away, my grandmother was at home, and this is the first time my mother had actually went out and enjoyed herself. So they came to get me, and my grandmother was there. My grandmother dead and gone. I'm only crying because she's special. But she was like, they got him, Sandra, and he's just down there. I don't know where he at. So I didn't have a number. I didn't have anything. I'm just in there. Just in there. So eventually I get out. My mother comes to get me, man. So at this time at 16 years old, bro, I'm wrecked. But like I say, bro, you rocked with me, man. Like you rock. So come to find out, man, there was a lot of twists and lies in the story. Thank God for the military attorneys, stuff like that. Stuff got thrown out and dropped, but it really didn't. I didn't beat the system. We just kind of won the case on some stuff, and I even had to take lie detectors, bro. I went through the ringer. So this at the time that we going off to college, me and you. I got the chance to go off. You go off to Georgia Tech. I'm up in Atlanta.
That's right. I remember. Yes, sir.
Atlanta, but we only saw each other every now and again.
That's right. It was few and far between. We actually saw each other more back in Augusta than we did while we were in Atlanta together.
Than we did in Atlanta, man. But I'm rocking in Atlanta. But most people, like, I love Atlanta, bro, but the life gets you. There's so many ways that you can go in Atlanta. And I got caught up. I'll be the first one to tell you. So I'm doing school, relaxing, chilling. I didn't get in the dope game, but the issue was, man, I got set up in an apartment where it was from a homeboy from back home. It was his cousin, and we all got an apartment together. It was him and then his friend. So next thing you know, bro, I'm living in the trap house.
Wow. I mean, this is like, see, and you tell you what's interesting about it is like we have circumstances and situations in our lives, and God don't ever give us more than we can handle, right? And it's crazy because sometimes the load that we have on our shoulders, we just like, God, you must think I'm a strong summer, you know what? Because it's a lot. But the thing is, you're still here and you're navigating it. And it's fascinating on top of that, how you ultimately get into law enforcement yourself.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in the trap.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the trap house or whatever. I'm not doing nothing.
You just live there. You just live there.
No, listen. So funny part, at the time, I'm like, yo, I gotta do something to keep me busy. So I start bouncing.
Mm-hmm.
I start bouncing, and then bouncing led into steroids.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm rocking steroids real hard at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm hurting. Like I'm at rock bottom. It's at the point where like I'm making the decision where I'm either about to die or I'm going to jail. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to go back on that road because one, I knew better. Mm-hmm. My brother would come down periodically and just pop up out of nowhere, bro. Mm. Never said much. He'd just pop up, he'd come grab me, take me out. We'd go out in Atlanta, and like I never knew his moves, bro. Like I've always looked hero, bro. I always looked up to him. But I just never knew why he did like the things that he did. So not only am I in steroids at the time, I'm in an underground fight scene. Mm-hmm. Wow. I'm making cash however I can make it. Mm. I wouldn't do drugs and I wouldn't sell it. Mm-hmm. So funny thing.
Hold on. So basically you in a real life fight club.
Real life
fight club and fool around with steroids at this point.
At this point, man, I'm in steroids hard. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about I'm jacked, whipped up, or whatever, and I'm having fights that is paying. So you gotta understand, during this time, Atlanta was hot because of the city. Like Michael Vick at this time was in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. So that's right. Late 90s, early 2000s. That's right.
Like early 2000s, like Atlanta was just smoking. So it was nothing for you to do anything. So my brother came and got me one day. So in my room, he came in my room, and my room was like a mess. But under the door, I had made a shift mate tile that whenever I closed the door, it would come up to the door and seal the bottom of the door. Because I was never at home. And the reason I did that, I was like, yo, if this house ever get raided, they can't slide nothing under the door.
There you go.
My brother goes, he sees that and he looked at me and he said, so I'm hurt, bro. Hurt. So one day I come from the gym, man, and remember I said I grew up in the church, but I don't know scriptures. I really didn't read my Bible, anything like that. But my car and my house is a mess. I'm living like a pig. Like I'm just there to do this. I go to school and I'm going to make money. I'm getting my next fight. I'm going to. I'm walking. I get out my car, bro, and the Bible falls open. And it's a section that's highlighted. I don't read it. I don't read the Bible. Why would this be highlighted? So never forget, man, it was Samuel 1:6-10. I can't even tell you everything that it says, but I'm confused when I'm reading it. I'm confused and I'm like, I need help. And I go, again, remember, I'm at the point where I'm going to jail, I'm going to die, or I'm going to kill myself. This is where I'm at. I'm at this point and I start walking and it say, like something says, call your mother.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, I do it when I get downstairs. Bro, I couldn't walk 4 steps.
Mm.
And I got pushed. I can't tell you what it was, but I know I was in the presence of God.
Mm.
I got pushed to my knee and my head went down and I couldn't lift up.
Mm.
So, you know that part where they say when you're in the presence, your head will bow, you'll go to a knee.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what happened.
Mm.
So, and I'm forcing my way up and I can't get up.
Mm.
So I just start crying. And the voice goes, call your mother.
Mm.
So I get up, run downstairs. I call my mother. She go, hey, I tell her what it is. I said, can you explain this? So she said, the best that I can tell you, Dustin, is that it's something you're supposed to be doing in his life. And he getting your attention.
Mm.
And through the scripture, I never forget the word. It say, be faithful.
Mm. Mm.
So I'm like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. So at this time, I hear his voice.
Mm.
I know you contacted me. And it's funny, my mother always says, she said, Dustin, you got something that I ain't never heard. Or whatever. And I go, I'm telling you one thing, I know that voice. I can't, I know what it is when it's trying to get my attention. So funny part, bro. We about to be done with school. I literally pick up the phone. I say, hey, bro, I'm coming to live with you. Mm. No holds barred, my brother goes. All right. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know nothing. He just like, all right.
That's it.
All right. Funny story happened. Again, the voice hits me. I'm a week away from basically moving my stuff back to Augusta. I got 2 more trips to make. On this last trip, on the second to last trip, I can't sleep. Can't sleep. Been up all night. I just had a fight like the night before. I've been up all night. I'm tired, whatever. It's 4:00 in the morning. My roommates are all out in the front, like smoking, partying, or whatever. I can't sleep. So I had my truck packed, ready to go. Mm. I said, yo, I'm just getting on the road. So it's 4:00 in the morning. Augusta to where I was living was 2.5 hours.
That's right.
I was like, yo, I got to get home. I got to get home. I don't know why. So I get to the house. I pull up. I got a key to the house. Soon as I get in the house, I hear like this heavy breathing. I'm like, oh, what's that? So at the time, my grandmother was living there. Mm-hmm. I go to my mother and I go, hey, is one of the dogs sick? Mm-hmm. It's this real heavy breathing. It's 6:00 in the morning. They like, nah, ain't no one of the dogs sick, whatever. And I said, y'all hear that? She's like, yeah. So I walk in the hallway, I hear it, it's coming from my grandmother's room. Mm. Walk through the door on my grandmother, she's stroking. Oh. I'm seeing my grandmother stroke, man. I grab her. And this is one of the only fewest times like I've ever seen my dad like just at a moment where it was just uncontrollable. Where he trying to be on the medics, they've asked him his location like 20 times, the address of his location 20 times. My mother can't get herself together because it's her mother.
Mm-hmm.
She's trying to get to the room, but she can't. I'm in there. I'm grabbing her. I grab her hand and I say, Granny, like, if you're ready to go, you let me know. But if not, I say, squeeze my hand so I know. She squares my hand. Because at that time, she had a few little health issues, but it wasn't until when I was thinking whatever. But over the time, man, when I say she's strong, bro, she had like over 13 strokes.
Mm.
But this is one of the few, like she stroked on the first.
Mm.
And it was like, at that moment, I was like, yo, this is why I was supposed to be home.
Mm.
I go, this is why I was supposed to be home. So I'm like, okay. So imagine if I didn't listen to that voice.
Woo, brother. Woo. Woo. Dude, obedience. Let me tell you, see, you mentioned something, and it's interesting because in the realm of faith and all of that, a lot of times we get caught up in what can you quote, what can you cite, what can you do this, what can you do that? But the reality is God is concerned with the condition of your heart. Are you listening when he's speaking? Because the reality is there are a lot of us that can quote the Bible from cover to cover, or if they're of another faith, quote the Quran cover to cover, or quote whatever. They can quote it cover to cover. They got the rituals, they got the this, they look the part. But when it comes down to the fact of when God speaks to them, they don't listen. So my whole thing is, whether you can quote the scriptures or not, if you listen and act when you are told to listen and act, you are the one that's in alignment and in obedience with our Creator. And that's the thing that I think some of us lose sight of. We get so caught up in what it looks like versus being what it really is. You know, it says, look, man, love your neighbor as yourself and keep me first. There it is. Like, I mean, we try to complicate it, but the reality is that. So what does that mean? That means I listen. That means when God says move, I move, because you'll be put in places that you could not have orchestrated if you listen to that. So I'm gonna throw something at you real quick. This is a guy I spoke at this development organization, and beforehand they were having a Bible study. And after they got done, the dude pulled me to the side. He said, Mike, I got something on the throat, run by you. I was like, well, what is it? He said, I've been having this theory about us, you know, in the realm of faith. And he said, I think we have too much Jesus and not enough Holy Spirit. And I was just like, explain that more. And one of the things that he said, you know, Jesus came and did his thing, but then Jesus went back up. He's sitting up top with God. But what he left us was the Holy Spirit. And with that, we have the capacity to do greater things than he did if we believe. But we have to go back to what you just mentioned. We got to listen and we got to be obedient. And so that's the most important component. And that's what's interesting about what you are doing in your life, and what you've shown through this story is that the power of obedience, but then the power of listening, and then the power of taking action when you're supposed to.
Right. So, I was like, yo, yeah, like, so that happened. So you got to remember, in the midst of that happening, I was moving to Maryland.
With your brother. So you were in Augusta is where your family was, but your brother was living in Maryland. So when you called your brother, yeah, you were gonna, and I'm gonna tell you what's crazy about that. Looking back on it, I remember when you moved to Maryland, it was like some mystery. Cause I'm like, man, what the hell going on with D, man? Why are you moving to Maryland? It was like literally we talk a little bit and then out of the blue, just like, where Dustin at? Oh, I done moved to Maryland. Like, whoa, hold up, dog. Like, what? Like it was that. Like so to your point, all of this coming together, I'm learning as well, because we're tight. We've been tight, but it's interesting how even when you're tight, you don't always reveal everything to even people closest to you. So for me, I was still under the impression, I'm like, well, dang, why you just up and move to Maryland, dog? Like literally, like one day you in Georgia, the next day You know, next time I talk to you, you was living in Maryland. It's just, and this is before social media and Facebook and all of this stuff.
This is well before all then. We had pages. Pages and flip phones.
Pages and flip phones.
So a week later, I go to Maryland with just a bed. My brother and his line brother, your frat brother, or whatever. I go to Maryland with just a bed and a couple of clothes. So we living in Laurel at this time. I get to Laurel, Maryland, and bro, like at this time, I'm trying to figure it out. I ain't working. My brother is holding it down. Back at that time, he ain't nowhere near making what he was making before, or like now, you know, whatever. But you know, my brother throughout all this has he's always been an entrepreneur. Like he is like king motivator and this and that. But like the good thing about it, man, I get to see my brother and I get to see a side like nobody else see. Well, only we know each other pain. But my brother, never cracked a beat. So I'm sitting up here, I'm trying to figure it out, bro. I can't. Pops, come down. Pops and Mom, come down. I hate this place to this day. It's called Bob Evans. I hate it to this day.
Bob Evans, okay.
It's called
Bob Evans will not be a sponsor of Black Fathers Now podcast because of statements of Dustin Johnson.
Right. Hey, so we sitting in here at this restaurant, man, and my mother and brother are kind of like giving it to me. And I'm taking it. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Man, my dad said a phrase that changed my life. He looked at me and he said, if me, your mother, and your brother were to die today, how would you make it? Couldn't answer. So, funny thing, bro. After this conversation, maybe a week later, not long, a week later, I'm dwelling. Now, I used to pray or whatever and believe or whatever, but I was like, I'm not getting what that was supposed to mean or whatever. But I was like, how dare you say you're going to die on me?
It's real.
I'm sitting at home, bro. I'm sitting at home watching TV. Cops come on the TV. Cops come on the TV. I'm like, what? Now I'm working like a substitute job. I was like doing substitute work or whatever. So around this time, like now you gotta realize years pass. I'm like 24, 25 at this point. He tells me that and he goes, cop sitting on the TV, and I go, yo, I can do that. I can do that. I was like, everybody know I sweat, so firefighter was out of the question.
If you're watching the video, that joke gonna pull his rag out like 17 times in this conversation.
Hey, firefighter was out of the question. I was like, that heat is too hot. So, bro, from that day, all I did was start applying. Now, here's where the faithfulness came about. I started applying. I go to apply. I applied to 9 different agencies. Most people, when they apply, they go 1, 2. I go to 9 different agencies, bro. I started working out, getting in shape because I knew I had to pass this test. I'm working out like a monster, giving it. My brother see me, he's just like, yo, he didn't went like beast mode. Mm-hmm. I'm working I go get a job working for TSA or whatever. The first day I get there, they go, hey, what's your plans? And I say, I don't plan on being here long. Mm. During the orientation.
Wow.
I go, I don't plan on being here long. I'm gonna be in law enforcement. Mm. They looked at me and was like, okay, this weird dude. Mm-hmm. So I'm working 6 months, bro. I'm trying out. I'm passing tests, flying colors, bro. Nobody's picking up. I'm faithful, bro. I'm just working. I'm working. Let me tell you how faithful it was. I get to a point where it's a certain agency that I'm looking at, I want to be with or whatever. I find out their academy date. I'm like, okay, I'm still working this job. Ain't got no notice that I've been hired by this other agency yet. The academy date is coming up. I put in my 2-week notice.
Ooh, without getting notice from them that you were in.
Didn't have notice.
You went ahead and put your 2-week notice in.
I put in my 2-week notice. Me and this other guy was going, we was at the same, there was another guy that was doing it. He was trying out for the same place. And he said, you hear anything? I was like, no, I ain't heard nothing. You hear anything? No, I ain't heard nothing. Bro, it comes to the date where I'm leaving. It's my last day at work. When I walk out of work that day, I get a call and say, hey, do you want the job?
Stay out the way. See, people don't understand the concept of stay out the way. When I hear people, say, oh, I'm gonna stay out the way, they don't understand what that means. Stay out the way doesn't mean that you don't take action. Staying out the way means you don't block the action from happening. And sometimes you block the action from happening because you don't believe, because you don't have faith, because you don't take the steps. I would even argue that all the things that you were doing leading up to that point were in preparation for it. And you didn't know how it was going to work out. You just knew it was going to work out because you had faith in that. Again, faith is belief in the unseen. If you had proof, if you knew it was happening, you wouldn't have needed faith because you had documentation. You didn't have no documentation, no confirmation. That confirmation came when you walked out the door on your last day in which you had put your 2-week notice in that, hey, it's time for you to walk out of this and walk right into this.
So wait, for this the part I forgot. So I'm going through and I'm frustrated. So I'm like, yo, I'm qualified. I don't know what's stopping me. One agency sends me a note. They was like, hey, you can't be a police officer. Why couldn't I be a police officer? Because when I was 16,
wow,
I got arrested for simple assault and battery. That one, I was never supposed to be charged as an adult. I didn't know I was charged as an adult. I was supposed to be a juvenile. 2, the charges was dropped, but they still kept that on my records.
Wow.
So let me tell you, this is how God working. So I called mom. She's like, yo, this was going on, whatever. She's like, be still. Keep doing what you're doing, be still. Okay. So like I say, that's when the last day I walk up out this joint, I get the call. It's like, hey, we want you. I'm going to have you. Come on and do this. I say, okay. So, don't know nothing about it. I get there. It changes my life. Now, this is where when you're destined, you don't know what's going on. I'm just being faithful. I'm getting there and I'm fitting right in. I'm getting like Officer of the Year awards. I'm doing like all this. 2 years in on the street. 2 years in on the street, well, it was like a year. It was a year and a half on the street. I go to try to apply for K9. I'm off probation. They try to hit me with some, no, you're not, or whatever. They was like, yeah, you're not gonna make it. Like you can't go in K9. So they blocked me. I was like, okay. 2 years to the date, I'm 6 months, a year and 6 months, 2 years to the date, they come out again. I go apply for again. So it was only one position. I go in, I smoke the position to the point they already knew who they wanted. So they had to open a second position.
Wow.
Because I smoked the position. And how they got me was they called him the day before and told him to come in. And then they called me the day after and they go, you want the position? Put him like 1 to 2. But they had to give me the position. Now, people in law enforcement understand a brother K9 officer is few, far, and in between.
Wow.
Like few, far, and in between.
Hold on. I want to pause there for just a second because it's interesting. We didn't talk a whole lot, and you don't have to go too in depth about it. How in your backstory, how y'all used to breed dogs and y'all had pit bulls and y'all had all kind of dog. I mean, dude, it was wild, and it's interesting how everything comes full circle to connect the dots. And so that preparation that you had as a kid with all these pits and breeding this dog and having that one and this one over here. I mean, there was dogs everywhere, at y'all crib. And but the thing is, the fast forward to now and the opportunities that you've been afforded due to the history.
Right. So when I say like I got in this, and I'll be the first one to tell you, man, law enforcement, especially right now, we not looked upon as the greats or whatever. But with that being said, it is what you make of it. Hey, that's my oldest.
Hey.
Hey. See, that's what I'm talking about teaching. Like, but it's not by far the greatest, but it's giving me the opportunity and the calling that I have for it. My goal is just to listen to what I'm supposed to do, be faithful, and push through. So I'm in K9 now. I'm few, far in between. So now, any one of us that try to apply from this point on, I'm like, come on over.
Woo! Pause. See, I'm gonna tell you something. So I'm a personal development coach, and one of the things that I mention to a lot of brothers is I feel like it's my calling to make sure that the right ones win and win big. For so long, the right people have not won, because when the right people win, it's not just them winning, it's everybody winning. So case in point, when you see a celebrity, and I know recently there was some albums dropped and, this person made 40 million on this album and this one made 50 million on this album. And I'm like, yeah, that's dope. I'm not hating on them. But my whole thing is, what did that 50 million that they make, how many doors did that open? Or what did they create? Or what pathway did they create for some other up and coming artists to be able to do the same thing? So I'm not one that necessarily just looks at your wins and loss record. I think about a coach from the perspective of, what does your coaching tree look like? So to me, the greatest coaches aren't the ones with the most wins and the least amount of losses. It's the ones that have a coaching tree in which there are like 20 or 30 jokers that go on to do amazing things that came up under you. And so that's the whole thing where you just mentioned you're in this position and a K9 officer that's Black is very few and far between. Now, because you're in that position, you have the ability to open up that door and say like, no, y'all come on in. I'm here for a reason. It's not about me being the only one. It's about me opening up the door so we got more than one.
So I'm rocking some years like, what am I, year 15, 16? Year 15, 16, K9. Any opportunity I get, man, I'm telling these brothers, hey, come on over. Now, whether y'all do it or not, that's on you, but
yeah, that's on you.
But funny part, during this time, bro, I meet, my wife. So we going through, stuff as being like law enforcement, and my wife is Puerto Rican, so that culture is a little bit different when it comes to law enforcement. They kind of, I guess, they really don't trust law enforcement or whatever. But like I'm telling her I'm different. I'm different.
Ooh.
I'm different. I'm telling her I'm different. But the thing that was messing me up, and I'll be the first one to tell you, this is why this shirt comes into play. I'm like, all right, before I marry you, we gotta go to counseling. Like, whatever. I had a dude that was a mentor to me, but my thing was like, only marriage I really seen was, pops and my mom, my father and my mother. I really don't know what marriage is about. So we go to counseling, bro, and I'm telling this dude, say no. Don't allow us to get married. So you know how you normally get like a 6-week period of like counseling? Bro, I put her through 2 years.
Wow. Counseling.
Of saying no. Of saying no, this not happening. This is what you call this. No, it's not happening. Or whatever. The dude was so cool with me. Like every time he'd just be like, hey, so when you gonna do it? So when you gonna do it? So finally, do it. I'm waiting for the voice. Do it. What more do you need to see? That's what was told. So I'm like, I bet I'm on it. Now, at the time, my family ain't the happiest about this, whatever, because the way it went about, I wasn't up forth and gathering with it. It was just what they didn't understand. I was listening to the voice of reason telling me, this is what you need to do. I didn't have a way to explain that to them. At this point, I've always felt like I've been a failure towards them. So it was something like that I needed to do. So with that being said, man, when I'm talking about this woman is like amazing, like going through it with me or whatever, we get to a point in the relationship where she calls me. I'm working night shift. I'm like, night. She calls me and she goes, I need to call Pastor such and such. I'm looking at her like, why? Like, what are you talking about? Whatever. Ain't nobody cheating, nobody doing anything. She was like, no, you're not. But you're not talking. Bro, I didn't even realize I wasn't talking.
Wow.
She would ask me how my day is at work. I'm thinking I'm protecting her by saying, yo, no, I'm good. Like, nothing going on. And to her, I was basically like shutting her off. Like, to her, I wasn't letting her in. I wasn't letting her see what it is, what made me me. So as a man, first thing somebody say counseling, you go, I'm not doing that. Oh, okay, that's what you want to do? Well, guess what? When I go in here, I'm going to blast you. That's how I went off at her. And she go, okay. She go, okay. So, bro, we getting counseling. Then what I realized, man, like it was marriage, like counseling, whatever. What I realized, I didn't know how to be a husband. I knew how to survive. I didn't know what it took to be the man of the house, or I'm raising, at this time I got Natalia, and then now I got this baby girl like on the way. I don't know how to be that. I'm like, okay. So I get in, man, and I'm getting eaten up. I'm like, you're not supposed to do that. I'm not fighting fair. When I fight, I'm fighting with words. I'm hurting. Whatever. I'm not, handling it with kids' gloves. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I'm like, okay. No, from that day of counseling, bro, like, it changed for me. I was like, no matter what, man, I'm going to ride for her. If and buts, whoever come at me, whether it's my mama, whether it's the president, whoever it is, I'm riding for her. So go to say, like, I'm in my law enforcement career, and I'm feeling empty. Freddie Gray happens. I get a call. Hey, we need.
And that was in Maryland too, right?
It's in Maryland. Freddie Gray happens. I get a call. It was like, hey, you got to go suit up. What? Like, yeah, you got to go suit up. You got to go to the city right now. So what nobody knows is when this happens, all the phone lines went dead. I couldn't call my mother. I couldn't call my brother. I couldn't call Gladys. From what? Only thing I was able, somehow or another, I was able to send an email to Gladys to send everything to my mother and my father. And dog, it was a last will and testament email that I sent. Just letting them know, hey, I love you. If anything is, I'm basically being called. I don't know what the situation I'm getting into, but if anything go awry, just know, you know, I love you. Bro, we get down to the city. Now, I'm not even on this unit, but I got put on this unit to be in the city, bro. So they gave me a uniform that don't even fit me. Like, I'm in this.
You the big brother too.
Yeah, I'm a big dude. So I'm in this uniform that don't even fit me. So as soon as we pull up, bro, I'll never forget the heart that I felt. As soon as we pull up, we jump out the van and I'm getting dressed. And I look over and this lady goes, somebody smashed my window to the car. It's like, they out here going crazy. And we like, okay, so we haven't even stepped into what's about to happen. So, bro, we line up, we get out, and we got to walk probably about 2 city blocks. I know y'all might hear it on TV, but Baltimore, it's a special being. But while I'm walking, man, I'm not really paying attention. I'm hearing the people, I'm paying attention to the people or whatever, but I lock eyes on a kid that had to be like 7 years old. And I looked at him, and he looked at me and he said, I hate you, pig. Like, and he said, F you. And I looked at him and I go, yo, we hurting. I was like, for a 7-year-old
to say that,
to feel that and say that, I was like, as a people, man, we're hurting. Now, I went out, and as a police officer and the line, I protected them. But at that day, that's when I realized, bro, I'm no different than when this uniform come off, bro. I'm that same 7-year-old kid. I'm that guy. So when I say we was in the trenches, man, I'm on my feet for hours. And it was bad. Like, it was bad to the point where all I remember was I was probably on like a 48-hour set. And all I remember was my supervisor, when we finally got released, my supervisor comes to me and he goes, "Why are you not answering the phone?" And I go, "I don't understand what's happening." And he go, "This is when I realized like I mattered." He goes, "Bro, I was on the phone trying to get you." He's like, "Don't you ever again, ever go without your phone." And I said, "To be honest, the phone lines wasn't working. What did you want me to do?" He was like, "You don't realize I care?" Now I know my family and them cared or whatever, because that's family. That's what they supposed to do. But I had a official tell me that. And he said, from that day, bro, it changed. My heart was changed. Like, so when I say we hurting, we hurting. So from that point to this day, man, I just know I ain't been feeling right. I'm trying everything. I'm not feeling right. I'm not going through the motions, but now I'm seeing people for where they at, not what they are. Like, I'm seeing where you at, and I can see that spirit in you. And now it changed my police career. It's like, yo, it's humbleness. It's these people ain't just like bad individuals. They're actually great human beings, but we hurt.
Oh, can I tell you, bro? Like, we literally need a full episode about that in itself. But this whole concept of you being able to see the humanity in the 7-year-old little boy in the midst of the Freddie Gray protests, when you're on the police or the law enforcement side of this, changed the game, because that was the moment in which you realize that we are hurting. What's interesting about it, again, you're wearing a shirt right now that says therapy. And that is a mantra for what it is you're doing and what you're creating on the entrepreneurial end with your clothing. But one of the things is you recognize that we're hurting by seeing the eyes of that 7-year-old little boy. But one of the things that allowed you to see that was the fact that when you were 7, you were hurting. And you had that opportunity to connect the dots. And it was almost like you were able to see yourself in that 7-year-old little boy. And then the light switch went off. And it's just like, I've been hurting, but the reality is we're all hurting. And when we have that level of humanity amongst us, when we can see the humanity in somebody else, when we can see that this person is not a bad person. They may have done a bad thing, but they're not a bad person because I see the humanity in you. That changes the game. And I will be completely honest, if law enforcement systemically had that particular mindset, we would not be in the scenario that we're in right now and have a lot of the issues that we have, because there's a lack of trust, because none of us see each other as human. That 7-year-old kid called you pig. A black man who's dealt with issues, who's been locked up, who's had challenges, he called you pig because of the uniform you're wearing. But on the flip side, you looked at him and you're just like, I'm not going to be mad at him because he's hurting. We're all hurting. And if we can understand that, we then have the capacity to get to a point in which we can start solving the hurt that we're all dealing with.
Yeah, man. That's facts. So then,
big facts.
When I say, law enforcement is a brotherhood, but it's also divided. And within that division, you got brothers that are really like trying to put it on their back and change the course of what people see in us. It's a lot that go on, like how we in the community, but people don't know that we are the community.
Ooh, see, check this out. People forget that a community is not a geographic location, it's a collection of people. And we are the community, regardless of whether you're law enforcement, whether you're the man, whether you're a person who's a resident, whether you're a kid, whether you're in poverty, whether you're a billionaire, you are the community, because the community is a collection of people.
Exactly. So, with that being said, man, I got around like a bunch of brothers or whatever. But again, just always going like, man, like I need to do something. Like I need to do something. Now at the time, bro, my wife is crafty.
Put stuff together, put it together.
Bro, crafty.
And
I'm not, it ain't hitting.
That's not you. Yeah, that's not your lane. Yeah.
Not my lane. Now she's blah, 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 decorating kids' birthday parties, is this, that. I'll never forget, bro. I say, man, I got to do something and I can't figure out what it is. Like I can't figure it out or whatever. But remember when I say, I hear the voice. I literally had just got off a bad situation of a call where it was a suicide individual or whatever. Literally, maybe like 2 days. I'm sitting here, I'm on my way home, and it was like, call Mike. I called Mike. You started, we talking, we wrapping it up, whatever, such and such. Now at this time, I have no clue what you've been up to. Only thing I know is my brother talked to you every now and again, whatever. That's it. So you start telling me about your podcast stuff, and I'm like, oh man, like I'm mad. I'm mad because I'm like, yo, you ain't
mad at me. Dog, let me tell you, that was a funny thing. You shut it down, our conversation. You was so doggone hot with me. You were like, hold up. No, I ain't finna find out by having to go somewhere else and learn about this. You finna tell me about it. You my dude. No, I mean, you got mad with me, dog. It was I remember that conversation.
I was mad because my man ain't.
You've been doing this for 2.5 years, and I'm just now finding out about it. Yeah, you was hot.
I was mad. Remember. So my man ain't told me nothing. Like, so at this time, like what you didn't know was I'm battling. I have a daily regimen in myself I call it, it's funny, man. Kevin Hart came out with it and he made it like amazing. But that me versus me.
Oh boy. That's us. That's everybody.
So wait for it. My battle has been, I fight myself. It's like me fighting myself every day. I fight my old self every day. So we fight to the death. So tomorrow, the guy that I was yesterday is going to fight the guy today. And I got to see if I'm going to kill him or if he's going to kill me. So I'm like, hey, personal development, this. Like I'm reading books. I'm getting it. My brother handed me information, stuff like this. And I'm eating, I'm devouring. Look, I'm reading the Quran, devouring information. I'm reading everything. Then come to find out, my man got this podcast. And he ain't said nothing. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I shut it down that day.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of days later, bro, I called you back. And we on the way home and we talking, and I go, I just wanted to call you, man, to just see how you doing. Like if you mentally all right. Mm. And that conversation led to, I started telling you about the situation of the dude. Mm-hmm. I'm dealing with the guy. And he didn't want to talk to nobody else but me.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
We had peace. And he went ahead and took himself in front of him. And I go, like at that point, I was like, yo, it was just so many things that added up that like he was there, but mentally he wasn't.
He was gone. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm on the daily, like fighting myself. And what's making me different? What's making me different? So I'm talking to you, and you literally go, you own to something. And I go, that's when the voice go, listen. So we had a talk, bro. And you push, like you basically hit me in my mouth.
All like, these boxing analogies, dog. Come on. I know.
He was like, think about it. You know, think about it. You own to something, whatever, like you can make it happen. So at the time, bro, like, I was like, this it. Like this my lane, this where we supposed to be. I go to the wife, I had a conversation with the wife, and she's like, man, I'm just crafty. I was like, no.
It's more than that.
I say, it's more than that, and this is where we supposed to be. So funny, bro, who I call my hero. Call my hero, my brother, and I'm like, blase, blah this, blase, blah that. He was like, I got you. All he said to me, he was like, yo, I got you. Whatever you need, and whenever you need help, I got you. Bet. So, with that being said, man, the conversation of you, conversation of my wife, the conversation of my brother led into this amazing thing that's called 3 Beautiful Creations.
3 Beautiful Creations. Tell everybody about 3 Beautiful Creations and what y'all got going on and where folks can support and check stuff out and just drop it all.
So with 3 Beautiful Creations, we are a printing service. We supply shirts, hats, side of your car, stickers, stickers. And the good thing about it is we're locally in Baltimore, but we are basically e-commerce wise, we're online. So you can basically get your order from anywhere. If you need hats, embroideries, things like that, you can do that.
You got a website?
Yeah, so it's weird, but what you do is just go to my Instagram, which is 3 Beautiful Creations. And I have the link tree on 3 Beautiful Creations and also Facebook.
Okay.
It'll direct you directly to my website. Now, if you're wanting the printing service, just DM me. I'm just in the process. I'm not perfect. Let me show you the shirt. You'll also see, when I came up with this idea, it's called Therapy Open. But this was in the first groundworks. This was my first
initial concept. Okay.
And
hold on. For those that are listening via audio, you're not seeing it. So just go to the YouTube page. You can check the video out, and you can see he's rocking one of the therapy hoodies. But go ahead, give it to me. Give it to me.
So if you look at the design, when you said put it together, and oh, my daughter did this.
I love it. I love it.
My daughter did this. But if you look at the design, it's red and white, and that's supposed to mean the blood that you go through with therapy. Then the white part is the healing. But if you look at the word itself, it's in thorns. Because it means it's gonna hurt. But it's a light at the end of the tunnel. And I did it as the open sign because, you know, when you walk in places, you want to know if it's open. So instead of us being afraid of like what's behind the door, we just need to open. And you can see that it's the prototype because I messed up on it over here. But I wear it because therapy's not perfect.
Ooh, therapy's not perfect, but it's necessary.
But it's necessary. So that's how this got developed. We run the printing line, but my passion is within the therapy. It's funny, man. You in the therapy. My brother in the therapy. I'm in the therapy. And we all speaking the same language.
I'm gonna drop something. A brother that's a mentor of mine that we talk pretty regularly. He always mentions that if you don't have a mentor, a therapist, and a coach in the mix, you're gonna struggle leading at the highest levels. And so when it comes down to it, we all need it. We all need coaching. We all need mentors. We all need therapists. Now, sometimes that doesn't mean that you have an actual one-on-one person. Sometimes it comes in the form of books and videos and courses and, you know, connecting with people in groups and having somebody who you can help unload and work through things with. Sometimes we're not privy to having a one-on-one, you know, dedicated, trained professional in this segment. But if we have access and we have the ability to get one, go get one because it is valuable.
Yes. Valuable is not the word, man. So we really can't even put a price tag on it because this, again, being able to unpack, being able to get through and heal and organize and rethink, connect the dots. I mean, it's just good to, and a lot of times it's really about you just articulating what it is that you're going through. And so, but dude, what I'm going to tell you, man, we're going to have to come back and do a round two because this conversation right here is super valuable. I mean, the whole concept of really understanding the power of relationships, understanding the power of, you know, having folks around you who can see things in you, but really the power of listening and obedience. It ain't about what it looks like. It's even what you're showing here while you're wearing the proof t-shirt of one of your actual proof hoodie of one of the designs, how there's a mess up on it, but you said therapy is not perfect. So I wear it on purpose. And I think that's interesting because there's a quote that I run with all the time, and it says perfection is not a requirement for greatness. And the reality is, as long as we give ourselves grace to understand that, we put things in place so that we have the opportunity to thrive and to grow and become our best, dude, and we listen and we're obedient and we take action on what that thing is that's inside of us, stay out the way. Stay out the way, man.
Stay out the way. Stay out the way.
Hey, that might, my man, see, you got to listen.
Come on. All of it, dude. I gained so much from this conversation. We chat, we text, we send stuff back and forth all the time. And man, I'm just gonna say, man, all the love in the world to you, my brother. Man, you keep up the good work. I'm here for you. You here for me. We here for each other, our families. You know, tell mom and pops and big bro Don Rail I said what up, man. Man. I salute you, man. Continue on your journey. You're doing this thing for a reason. You're here for a reason. Just continue.
One thing before we go, man, like I I had an opportunity. It wasn't much, but it was a goal of mine, man. We got a law enforcement brother down here that his feet is on the ground when it comes to giving back. And he has a program down here where every Thanksgiving year he collect and he gives socks. Mm-hmm. So I got with him this year because now, you know, I got the printing service or whatever. Mm-hmm. And this year he was doing the local hospital. Well, guess what, man? It wasn't much, but it was a lot to me. I was able to donate a couple of like 50 shirts to, it was abused kids. Now, I'm starting at 50. But with this, man, I want to take this to a whole nother level where we're giving. And making sure that, like, not only am I using this platform just as a Black father, but also just with the community and ensuring that we giving back, man. Like, we are doing everything possible to let people know, like, we're in touch.
Yes.
We're in touch. We need you just as much as, you know, you need us. Mm-hmm. So just because we in that uniform, don't think that it ain't a bunch of us that's in the background spearheading this charge. Okay. I just want to say, man, I appreciate you. I've cried on this thing and I don't cry.
Hey, man, I'm over here tearing up too. So we good. But you know what though? Real men can cry. Yeah. Hey, look, like I said, try me if you want to. But no, man, I appreciate you, brother, man. And again, like you said, when we recognize people are hurting, we can't stop there. We have to do our part to help with the healing. And that's what you're doing with your mission. That's what you're doing from the inside when it comes to law enforcement. That's what you're doing as it pertains to your family, what you're doing and how you're leading. So I hope that encourages a brother that's out here listening to do so. And make sure to follow 3 Beautiful Creations on Instagram, follow 3 Beautiful Creations on Facebook, reach out to them, check out some of the stuff they have going on. If you have printing orders, DM, reach out to them, hit their link tree and connect with them because they can serve you. If you're in the Baltimore area and you see this big bald head brother walking around in uniform with some dogs and you walk by and you see his tag says Johnson, that might be Dustin Johnson, aka Buster, according to my late grandmother. You step up to him and you tell him hello and that you heard his story on Black Fathers Now and how much you appreciated his openness and his honesty, because it's going to change some lives. And so, brother, I love you. I salute you and continue to do what you're doing, my brother.
Hey, I appreciate it, brother.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. As always, y'all make sure to follow Black Fathers Now everywhere on social media. Share this thing out. And until next time, y'all be blessed, well, and wise. And I'll holler at you. Peace.